Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of Sportsmemo's Pro Football Forecast. This is the last show of the week before we head into Christmas weekend. Now, my friends out there, whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or none of the three, we here at Sportsmemo want to wish all of you and your families a happy holiday weekend. My friends, we have just a few more weeks in the regular season. Then here at the Pro Football Forecast, we will be taking on the playoffs and then the Super Bowl right here at Sports Memo TV, so you won't miss a beat. I promise you that. So no fear, we'll continue bringing you tons of free winners, amazing betting insights, and a few laughs too from some of Sports Memo's documented leaderboard fixtures. Grab that helmet, lace up those cleats, get ready to make some money in the NFL this weekend. We have an amazing show. Let me bring on this good-looking panel of all-stars. Wow, what a good-looking bunch. Dan Kaiser, Jeff Michaels, and Moneyline Matt. Let me do some individuals. Dan Kaiser, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Doing good. And you missed one. You left one out there. Just a happy Festivus for the rest of us.
There you go. Good call. Thank you. We don't want to leave any religious holidays out there, sports fans. Thank you, Dan. My good friend Jeff Michael said he's keeping warm today in Ohio. Jeff, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I can't complain. I can smell the holiday season starting upstairs. The wife and kids are baking the Christmas cookies, so they're getting into the swing of things going into the weekend.
Now, sports fans, Jeff told me before the show, anybody that DMs him on Twitter at JamSportsCLE, he'll send you a batch of Christmas cookies. So no, I'm just kidding, guys. I don't want to put him in hot water with his wife. My good friend Moneyline Matt, good afternoon. How are you, buddy?
Hey, great, Joe. It's great to be on the show with you, Dan, and Jeff, ready to break down some games. And, I'm in the Christmas spirit. I think some wins are coming. It's going to be a good weekend. We're going to get some additional cash for everyone with those presents and everything like that. So ready to break it down.
Well, sports fans, hear this wonderful panel at Sports Memo. We all want to wish you a happy holiday weekend. And our present for you to put under your tree and gift wrap is a great show full of free content. Before we go into 3 roundtable games and the best bet segment, a couple of quick announcements. First of all, every successful sports bettor and sports handicapper I know use the Goal Sheet, the oldest and most respected of all the betting publications. After the show, www.goldsheet.com. Use what the pros use. Now, we talk about this every show because it's true. The customer appreciation you receive at Sports Memo is unrivaled. We know that saving your money is just as good as making your money after the show. www.sportsmemo.com. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I got a couple of discounts I want to make you aware of. First of all, our good friend Matt and the First Lady of Las Vegas. They are $2 Tuesday featured cappers this weekend. Their big game releases are still available. $2 a piece, sportsmemo.com. Then, guys, I got to tell you, I'm very excited about this. We are in the heart of the bowl campaign. And as we talked about on several shows leading up to this show this week, obviously the matchups are getting better. All right. Follow your favorite capper or cappers for the rest of the bowl campaign, just $149 right after the show. And then this, to me, is like the granddaddy of all discounts. It really does impress me when Sports Memo does this. 25% off. Anything you can fit in your card at Sports Memo and at Wager Talk. Real quick, guys, be strategic about this because you can put as much as you want. If you want to follow Dan through the next month or Jeff through the football campaign or Moneyline Matt through whatever you want through the next 30 days. Guys, I want you to know you can follow as many things, you can grab as many things you want, put in your card, but you can only use it once at Sports Memo or at Wager Talk. So use it wisely. And one more item. My wife, the First Lady of Las Vegas, she contributes to 5 sports over at Sports Memo. She's on 5 sport leaderboards. I do 4 sports. I'm on 4 sport leaderboards. The great folks at Sports Memo, the rest of this year through the 31st, every game that Dan D'Amico or Joe D'Amico releases, $99 for the both of us. Having said that, guys, wow, that was a lot. One more item. You know how we do it every show. Couple of line movements from the sharp money players here in Southern Nevada from my good friends at my favorite sports book on the planet, the Superbook at the Westgate. Whether you live in Vegas or you're just visiting, go to the Superbook. I promise you right now, you might never leave. Bring a cot and some pajamas. You'll sleep there. You don't even need a room. Guys, we talk each show that the general public, weather and injuries will move lines. But these 3 games, line movements in the NFL were specifically moved by the smart money players who wanted to make you aware of them. The Vikings from -3 up to -4. The Texans from +5 down to +3. And the Broncos from Pick'em up to 2.5. 3 smart money moves. Vikings, Texans, and Broncos from my good friends over at the Superbook at the Westgate. So without any further ado, we have 3 roundtable games and our best bet segment. If you miss any portion of the show, don't worry about it. I'll run through all our predictions after round 3. Our first round table game is a doozy, a matchup between Two of the NFC's best, the 13-1 Eagles and the 10-4 Cowboys. Philly has won all 7 road games this season straight up. Dallas, 7-1 straight up at home in 2022. The Eagles took the October 16th meeting at home 26-17. With Gardner Minshew at the helm this week, things are going to change a bit. Eagles, Cowboys, Saturday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dallas, currently 4.5, total 47. Go to my friend Dan Kaiser. Dan, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, before last week's games, I thought this game was going to be kind of telling for a couple of different reasons, and could go a lot to maybe predict what was going to happen in the playoffs. But last week did happen. Jalen Hurts got hurt in their win against Chicago, and he'll be out for this game. And then Dallas, Dallas that does what Dallas does, and they choked a game they should have won against Jacksonville. So this game isn't as important, but I think it still will have some meaning. This is a game that Dallas. This is a game now that Dallas really needs to win. To be honest, they're coming in. Philadelphia's going to garden Mr. Pornstash Minshew here as a quarterback. But Minshew is a very capable quarterback. He's shown he can as a backup, he can get the job done. But this is a game that Dallas really has to show that they are for real and that they aren't a fluke. Dak Prescott, last week, I'm not going to put it 100% on him, but last week that interception he threw that cost them, or in the overtime that was returned for a touchdown. But that seems to be Dak's game. He gets a lot of praise, but he never seems to come through in the games when they really need him. I think this game is going to come down to basically the Philadelphia's rushing attack against Dallas's rush defense. Philadelphia's got one of the better rushing attacks in the league, and they'll rely on that to keep from Minshew from having to throw the ball up. Dallas's defense against the rush isn't all that great, and I think at first they'll try to stack the box to make Minshew throw so they can try to get pressure on him, and then Dallas, they like to rely on the run also, and Philadelphia's rush defense is pretty decent. At the spread at 4.5. To be honest, I like this Philadelphia defense. I think Minshew can control this game enough to keep this game close, and I'm going to take the lean to the Philadelphia in the 4.5 because I think this will probably come down to a field goal game because I just don't trust Dallas. I just don't trust Dallas to blow out anybody at this point in time.
Dan Kaiser doing great work over at Sportsmemo. He says the Eagles take the points, even with Gardner's porn stash, as he so eloquently put it. He said, take the Eagles. Can't trust Dallas to lay points at all. We're going to go to my good friend, Moneyline Matt. He's doing great work at Sportsmemo as well. Moneyline Matt, Eagles, Cowboys, Saturday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dallas, 4.5, 47. It's all you, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate it as always, Joe. And in this matchup, the Eagles are 13-1 traveling on the road against the Dallas Cowboys. And this is a spot where, the Dallas Cowboys are coming off that brutal loss where the Jacksonville Jaguars came back from 17 points down. Now they're heading back home to try and kind of right this ship and string together some big wins heading into the playoffs. As for the Eagles, they're currently on a 4-game win streak and will be without quarterback and MVP candidate in Jalen Hurts. And obviously, I think this is pivotal due to the fact that Jalen Hurts does so many things that other quarterbacks can't do. He's an MVP candidate for a reason, and a lot of it has to do with his legs and his ability to get outside the pocket, make throws on the run, pick up key first downs with his legs on top of it. And another thing that Jalen Hurts does that many quarterbacks don't have is just arm talent. And that's the ability to throw the football 60 yards down the field, hitting A.J. Brown on that streak route, those big plays that we're accustomed to seeing with the Philadelphia Eagles. And me personally, I think that goes out the window with Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is a very capable backup quarterback. He can also extend plays with his legs, but it's definitely not to the ability of that with Jalen Hurts, And then with some against the spread trends, you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they're 5-3 against the spread at home this season, while the Eagles are actually 2-5 against the spread on the road. Okay. And one big factor in this game that I personally see is the Cowboys' ability to get to the quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys rank second in terms of sacks against the quarterback. And, the Philadelphia Eagles are actually 19th in sacks given up. And that's a big statistic for me here because that's 19th throughout the entire NFL with Jalen Hurts back there. Someone who can extend the play, someone who can break tackles. He's someone who's tough to bring down on top of that. So I think this is a big thing, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to have the ability to get to the quarterback and make big plays. Earlier this season as well, the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Cowboys at home, so they're really not worried about any divisional tiebreaker or anything along those lines if, in fact, the Cowboys string together some wins and the Eagles string together some losses. Regardless, they have everything locked up. So this game really does mean a lot more to that of the Dallas Cowboys, and because of that, I'm going to be backing the Cowboys here. I think they have a lot going for them in this matchup, and there's a lot of things that Jalen Hurts does that I personally think are out the window at this point in time. With Gardner Minshew at the quarterback, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be able to bring their guys up a little more, maybe mix in some blitz packages, and you got guys like Diggs back there who can make some big plays, maybe potentially get an interception that can change the game. So because of that, I'm actually going to be backing the Cowboys at -4.5 in this spot.
Moneyline Matt, leaderboard fixture, 3 days, 7 days, 30 days over at sportsmemo.com. Says he's going to take the Cowboys. Sports fans, don't go anywhere. 2 round table games to go, then our best bet segment. Our second round table game is a doozer. I got to tell you, Raiders-Steelers, the 50-year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception matchup of the Raiders-Steelers was supposed to be a celebratory contest this week, but obviously we all heard the horrible news. This world, and specifically the NFL and the Pittsburgh Steelers, great. We lost one of our own, Franco Harris, passed this week. Our condolences to him and his family and the whole Pittsburgh family, to be honest with you. They really loved, he was beloved. But this does add some drama, sports fans. Let's go back to the game itself. Both teams at 6-8, long shot playoff hopes, still mathematically in it, both teams. Raiders have covered 5 straight meetings going back 9 years in this rivalry. Both teams playing well since mid-November. Raiders, Steelers, Saturday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pittsburgh 2-38. Let's go to my good buddy, Jeff Michaels.
Yeah, Joe, I appreciate it. You got to be looking at these Raiders that you were loving so hard on earlier in the year. Started 2-7. Now they're 4-1 straight up and against the spread over the last 5 games. So something seems to be clicking. And 2 of those games they won outright as an underdog too. They beat Denver, they beat Seattle. That was at the beginning of that 5-game stretch. So a couple weeks back, but still during this impressive run. But they take on a Steelers team that, is still hanging in it too. Like you said, they've covered and won 3 out of their last 4 and 4 out of their last 6. So both these teams are kind of fighting for their lives in the playoff hunt, but both teams continue to fight and continue to stay in it. Something definitely stands out. Derek Carr in his career is 19-29 against the spread on the road. And sure, the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh isn't exactly the most convincing and the most comforting. But, the other thing that stood out is Derek Carr also hasn't been able to get the job done against the teams that he realistically should beat. And I'm not just talking the favorites. You look at passing defenses that are allowing 235 yards or more per game over the air. He's 1-8 in the second half of the last 2 years. So hasn't been able to close out the season, let alone against the passing defenses that he should be torching. And this year, adding a weapon like Devontae Adams, is something that they should take advantage of. And they have been able to score. They're actually in the top 10 in scoring, but both these teams have struggled to defend the passing game. So we'll see if either team can really take advantage of it. Pittsburgh's been good at intercepting the ball. They've one of the highest interception rates in the league. So I do see that as a big opportunity against Derek Carr. But to be honest, I don't love this game in really either direction. I'd probably be looking a little more towards the over. I'd be leaning with Pittsburgh if you made me pick. But, the way that Vegas has been playing in the last 5 and one of the craziest finishes that you've seen in the NFL last week to pull off that win. So I can't exactly go against this Raiders team. This is the first time since 2016 that the Raiders have played a game with a total under 40. So, and only the second time since 2012. So looking at such a low total for the Raiders, it seems to be go against that one. But I did find same game parlay on DraftKings, actually. Pittsburgh money line, get rid of those points, and over 37.5, you're actually getting plus 220 on a parlay there. So taking them on the money line might be the way I'm going there with Pittsburgh.
Jeff Michaels, guys, it may be getting a little chilly across the country at the end of December, but one thing that isn't cold, Jeff Michaels picks their red hot over at Sports Memo. He says he's not in love with this game. Got to lean on the over. If he really had to twist his arm, he would take Pitt, even maybe on the money line, -2, offer some value. Good stuff, Jeff. Thank you. We're going to go to Dan the Man Kaiser. He knows a little bit about cold weather up in Michigan right now. I got to tell you, Dan, I always look forward to your breakdowns. Saturday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Raiders, Steelers, Pittsburgh, 2-38. Take it away, Dan Kaiser.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Yeah, I kind of agree with a lot of what Jeff says there. I really don't like this game either. It's one I'll probably definitely stay away from. I know the Raiders won last week. To be honest, I don't give them a lot of credit in that win. I think that call, their tying touchdown, I think was kind of a makeup call on the tuck rule from years ago. And what can I say about that last play of the game? That was just that was something special there, one way or another. I'm glad I didn't have New England in that game, where I probably would have needed a new TV, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, this game, it's I think the weather could play a little part in this game. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball. I don't like Pittsburgh's quarterback situation right here. Do they go back with Kenny Pickett after the concussion? But Mitch, MVP Mitch played really well last week, so we'll see about that. And I don't have a lot of faith in this Raiders offense. I coming in before this season, I thought this offense was going to be dynamic with Carr and Adams, and then there's times where they don't seem to be on the same team. That they're starting to pick it up a little bit. But to be honest, I'm looking at this game kind of what Jeff said. I'm looking at Pittsburgh on the money line just for the fact of the emotion coming into this game. And I know they're professionals and whatever, but I think it's a different kind of emotion that was going to be with the retiring of Franco's number. But now you've got with his death, I think Pittsburgh's really going to get up for this one. I think their fans are going to be up for this one. And I just think it's one of those stupid things that you can't quantify, but I just kind of think Pittsburgh's going to overcome what they have to overcome in this one, and I like them on the money line.
Joe, you're muted.
I muted myself again. See, I even annoy my own self with my voice. Dan Kaiser, the godfather of Michigan, says Pittsburgh money line. Great stuff, Dan. Sports fans, I tried to let the cappers cap. I don't get involved, and I personally, glad you brought up emotions, Dan, because I looked at this game prior to the passing of Franco Harris, and I thought it was a very difficult matchup. Now you throw in to the mix emotions. Pittsburgh is a storied team. They're steeped in tradition. They've got diehard fans, and this is a big week for them. So it's hard to really put a gauge on emotion, sports fans. It really is. I'm glad Dan brought that up. Great stuff from the godfather of Michigan, Dan Kaiser. Guys, don't go anywhere. We have another roundtable game, then our best bet segment. If you missed any of our roundtable games, I will run through our cappers predictions at the end of round 3. Speaking of round 3, guys, Packers off a short week, crushing the Rams 24-12 on where? Monday Night Football. Won and covered 2 in a row for the first time since September. They faced the Dolphins team on a 3-game straight-up slide. But, and you know how much I like a big but Miami, 20-8 against the spread. The last 28 games played at the Hard Rock Stadium. We're talking Packers, Dolphins, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Miami, 3.5, total 50. Let's go to the man himself, Moneyline Matt.
Yeah, and before we get into the Miami game, I wanted to address the comment from Robert. And one thing I just wanted to say is when we're breaking down these games, these aren't always games that are going to be on our card or anything along those lines. We're just kind of breaking down some of the spotlighted games. And, it says last 2 games, Cowboys opponents, 7-1 drop back for passes and 1 Eagles sack. I disagree with your assessment. And that's totally fine too. Everyone's always going to have different opinions here. But one thing that I want to add is the Eagles' last 2 games were against the New York Giants, 18th in sacks, Chicago Bears, dead last in sacks throughout the NFL. And in their last matchup, the Eagles did give up 4 sacks against the Dallas Cowboys at home. So that's one thing I just wanted to address. This is a game that probably won't be on my card. But one thing I will say is this Packers-Dolphins game will be on my card. I do like this spot, and I'm really actually liking the spot for the Miami Dolphins at -3.5. Okay. So the Green Bay Packers travel on the road to face off against the Miami Dolphins. And in my eyes, for the Miami Dolphins, I think this is the perfect get-right spot after losing 3 games in a row on the road. They had 2 West Coast spots facing the Chargers and the San Francisco 49ers, 2 tough travel spots for them. And then after that, going up to Buffalo. So kind of all over the place. Now they're back home in Miami where they actually do play far better football. The Dolphins are 8-6 on the season and need to string together some wins to end this season, not only to get hot, but for playoff positioning. And then as for the Green Bay Packers, they're 6-8 on the season, coming off 2 wins in a row. Their most recent one over the LA Rams, which, we all know that's kind of not that impressive. But on the season, the Miami Dolphins, again, far better at home, 4-2 against the spread. And, for the Packers team, this is a team that's 3-4 against the spread on the road. And I personally just think the Dolphins have far more firepower in this matchup. When the Green Bay Packers go on the road, they've averaged 18.9 points per game in comparison to the Miami Dolphins averaging 24.6 at home. And again, this is actually how I see this game being won. I think the Dolphins just have too much firepower in comparison to that of the Green Bay Packers. And this is a Green Bay Packers who's given up 23.3 points per game on the road on top of that. And when the Dolphins are at home, this defense actually really gets better and stands up. This Dolphins defense is averaging 15.3 points per game given up at home and, has faced some pretty tough teams. And last week, one thing with this Miami Dolphins team that I thought was fairly impressive was the fact that Raheem Mostert went out and had a 100-plus yard game. They had 136 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And I believe this is essential when facing the Green Bay Packers because this is a team that's allowed 196.7 rushing yards per over the last 3 games and 148.9 rushing yards per game this season. And on the other hand, when you look at this Miami Dolphins team, they've been pretty good. They're a top 10 rushing defense team. And as we know, the Green Bay Packers love to run A.J. Dillon. They love to run Aaron Jones. And if you can shut those guys down, it makes it that much more difficult for a Green Bay Packers team that has been very, very inconsistent in terms of throwing the football. Aaron Rodgers this season has 23 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, solid ratio, but doesn't have a single 300-yard passing game yet. Again, this is a game that's going to be in Miami, so it's going to be comfortable conditions for someone like Tua. And what you can do when you get that play action game going, like I said before, Green Bay Packers do not have a solid rushing defense. When you get the rushing game going, that involves the play action attack for Tua. And one thing with the Green Bay Packers is they love to run some zone defense on top of that. When you're running the play action attack, you got guys like Jalen Waddle, you got guys like Tyreek Hill who can sit down in those zones and make plays after the catch. And Tua is actually at his best with his timing, okay? And that's what zones are. Zone defenses and the quarterback, it's all about timing and hitting certain spots. So because of that, I really do like the look of this Miami Dolphins team. If they lose 4 in a row, they really do start running some risk of playoff positioning or even potentially making the playoffs. Okay. And for me here, I actually think Mike McDaniels is a very, very creative offensive mastermind. And I think he does things to get his best players in top positions to make plays after the catch and to find ways to get them open, whether that's running motions across or little swing passes, things like that. He likes to get the ball in his playmakers' hands as fast as possible. And again, I just think this team has too much firepower, and I don't think the Green Bay Packers will be able to keep up. And because of that, that's why I'm totally fine with this -3.5 spread. And honestly, when it opened around -5, I was okay with that too. So for me, it's the Miami Dolphins here at -3.5.
Moneyline Matt all over the Dolphins, not afraid of the 3 and the hook. And guys, Moneyline Matt addressed one of our viewers' questions, and we're here to answer your questions or talk to you. If you got any questions for our panel, fire away. Any comments, good or bad? We don't expect everybody to agree with every one of our panelists' opinions.
We're wrong too,
No. But the situation is the cappers. I want you guys to know the cappers are given roundtable games, and then their best bets are a best bet. That's up to them. Roundtable games they got to cover. Some of these guys, they're not in love with these games. Some of these are not marquee games. Some of these are games they didn't put out, as Matt mentioned, on the premium side, but they still chime in. They give you an opinion on them. And no. And Matt just said we're not right on every single game, but I will tell you, we got the best cappers in the business. So if there's a question or comment, whether you agree or disagree, we want to hear from you. We appreciate you. We want to make you guys happy. We want you to keep coming back. FOMO, as the kids say. Having said that, guys, my good friend Jeff Michaels doing great work over at Sportsmemo. Excuse me. He's going to chime in about the Packers-Dolphins Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, Miami, 3.5, 50. Let's see if he agrees with Matt or disagrees. Take it away, Jeff.
Thanks, Joe. I always get nervous. Matt's a friend, and Matt's somebody whose opinion I respect. So when you come out and you start with, this is going to definitely be a play on my card, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat hoping I'm agreeing with you, because I'm thinking the same way here. And we do agree on this one. I'm definitely looking at Miami too here. Bradley Chubb is questionable for this one. Their new defensive presence on the defensive side, obviously, but the tides have turned, kind of for both these teams. But Green Bay has won and covered back-to-back games. But you look at those games, kind of to the point that Matt made about the strength of schedule and the teams that you're playing against and the teams that's coming against. I touched on it. You got Green Bay winning and covering against Chicago and LA, which aren't exactly the most impressive wins. But prior to that, they were 1-7 straight up in the last 8 games, and they only covered 2 of them. And Miami lost their 3rd straight game. That's actually the 2nd time that's happened this year, but the first time was when they lost Tua. So that's obviously a little bit of an extenuating circumstance there. But it did stand out to me. Right now, Miami ranks 9th in scoring offense in the league. Green Bay has actually already played 5 of the 8 teams that rank ahead of them. Minnesota, they played all the way back in week 1, so they allowed 23 points, but that was really the only team that they played in that top 8 that they were able to hold under their season total average in terms of points. And the most recent one, they played Philadelphia in week 12. They allowed 40 points in that game. That was almost 11 points over what they're averaging. So I know Philadelphia obviously has one of the most explosive offenses, but you talk about the fact that they put up 11 points above what they're averaging on the season. Says something about the way that the Green Bay defense is kind of playing there. And it is kind of a situational spot, like Matt said. The way that they match up, Miami has struggled a little bit against the pass, but not horrendously, but they've played better on the defensive side against that rush. And that obviously matches up well against this Packers team, which is kind of almost comical when you think about the fact that Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback and we're saying a good rush defense matches up well. But it's true this year. And to the point about weather that, everybody keeps making, there's something to be said about Miami playing a home game in these cold months. I think they love it, they embrace it, and they've shown it record-wise. 13-1 straight up and against the spread in their last 14 games played at home in the month of November and December. So those cold weather months, there are 3 straight losses that just happened. All 3 of them were on the road. They come back home now. 13 out of the last 14 games at home in either the month of November or December, they have won and covered. So haven't lost one since 2020. They failed to cover. They failed to cover last year against the Jets, but their only straight up loss in the month of November and December came back in 2019 against Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So November and December, we talk about the cold weather up north, but hey, it plays a part down south too, and it's given Miami a definitive edge. So I do like the Dolphins in this one too to bounce back in this spot.
One of the sharpest minds in sports betting today, Jeff Michael, says Dolphins. Sports fans, I'm going to go over all our cappers predictions to the roundtable games. Then we're going to go to our best bet segment, so don't go anywhere, my friends. Our first roundtable games, Eagles, Cowboys, Saturday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dallas, favorite of 4.5, total 47. Dan the Man Kaiser says the Eagles. Guess what? Moneyline Matt says, I disagree. I like them Cowboys. Our second roundtable game, Raiders and Steelers. Saturday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pitt, a lot of emotion, 2-point favorite. Total 38. Just said he's not in love with the game. He's got to lean on the over. But if he had to play this side, he'd probably go maybe Steelers, maybe Moneyline. Our good friend Dan the Man chimed in. He says, emotion. Steelers, Moneyline is his way on this game. Our third roundtable game, Packers, Dolphins. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Miami. 3 in that deadly hook. And a total of 50. But guess who's not afraid of the hook? Matt, Moneyline Matt is not afraid of it. He says all the way with Miami. And you know what? Great minds must think alike, because my good buddy Jeff Michael said, forget that hook. They're going to crush. Go Miami too. So there's your 3 roundtable games, guys. We're going to go into our best bet segment, the most exciting portion of the show. I want to talk about my good buddy Dan Kaiser. I call him the godfather of Michigan. You know, he's one of the smartest minds in sports betting. He's been around for a couple of years. He's a seasoned vet. You know, I've seen guys come and go. Very few can withstand the years and sustain the ups and the downs. Very few can still be on leaderboards like Dan Kaiser. We talked about him quite a bit on this NFL show. You know why? Because for months now, he's been killing it in the NFL. But that's not the only sport he excels in. Go over to Sportsmemo after the show. Take advantage of the best customer appreciation discounts on the planet. Follow Dan the Man Kaiser. You'll follow him all the way to the bank. Dan is going to give you his best bet, but he's going to also tell you what he's been doing. He's going to tell you what you can expect from him on the premium side. Dan Kaiser, take it away.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Right now, the bowl season is underway, and I've started out really hot in the bowl season. I'm 7-3 right now in bowl games. I'm 5-2 with totals in these bowl games, and my 2 total losses have been by a combined 2.5 points. So things are looking good there. I got assigned a total up on the Gasparilla Bowl coming up shortly. You can still get on that. I've got to play in the NBA tonight and 3 plays on the ice. My best bet is in the Bengals New England game. You know, halfway through the season, it looked like Cincinnati was definitely had the Super Bowl hangover. They were 4-4, not playing really good football. But you know, a month and a half later, 6-game win streak. They're 10-4, and they look like one of the 3 teams in the AFC to be reckoned with for a trip back to the Super Bowl. Last week was a perfect example. They were down 17-0 to Tampa Bay. You know, and Tampa Bay's defense was looking like the Tampa Bay defense of old, and then they just came back and just got on a big run and just destroyed Tampa Bay in the second half to win 34-23. You know, this New England team, where do they go after last week's devastating loss to the Raiders? It's just the way they lost. Their offense is not looking great. You know, whether it be Mac Jones, the offensive line, they can't really establish much with the running game to make it easy on Jones. And I just don't know how they recover from last week. Cincinnati is covered the spread in 6 straight games. And to be honest, I don't want to step in front of that train right now. They just seem to be on a roll. They look like one of the teams to beat going forward. I think it's going to come down to them, the Bills or the Chiefs. And that this spread at -3, I think that's just too few points, and it's almost disrespecting what the Bengals have done the last 6 weeks. So I'm going to ride that disrespect and take the Bengals -3.
Dan Kaiser said he's riding in disrespect. Take the Bengals -3, and you'll take them to the bank. He's an ideal capper for you to take advantage of. Maybe that 25%, anything you fit in a cart, guys, because he is winning on several different platforms. Go follow Dan. You'll follow him to the bank. Speaking about winning, go over to Sports Memo. You know what you'll see on the 3-day to 7-day to 30-day? Moneyline Matt's name. That's what you'll see. He's doing great work over there. He's going to tell you what he's been doing. He's going to tell you what you can expect from him on the premium side. he's got a free best bet. Moneyline Matt, take it away.
Yeah, Joe, appreciate it as always. And I have 2 NFL plays up right now. Definitely going to be adding to that card for Saturday, Sunday, and maybe even Monday. And tonight, we have a really great NBA card as well. So I'm definitely going to be attacking that. Have 3 plays up already if you want to check that out. 6-2 on the NBA so far this week. So having a much better week with the NBA. Excited about that. And again, Christmas right around the corner. So all we're trying to do is get you guys some extra cash. And everyone in the chat, Robert, Brian, if you guys want to put your best bets in, I always love seeing that as well, checking out what everyone else is thinking. So feel free to put that in as well. But for me, my best bet is going to be the New Orleans Saints against the Cleveland Browns. I'm actually going to be taking the Cleveland Browns -2.5. And in this matchup, the New Orleans Saints travel on the road to face off against the Browns. And it's a spot where both teams really would like to get a win for a late playoff push. As for the Cleveland Browns, they're coming off a home win against the Baltimore Ravens, improving to 6-8 on the season. And the New Orleans Saints are coming off a 21-18 home win over the Atlanta Falcons, improving to 5-9. Actually second in the NFC South and 1 game out of first place. So again, both teams really want to come in and get this win. And although I expect both teams to play hard, I think the style of this game definitely favors the Cleveland Browns. And here's why. For one, the Cleveland Browns have played far better in this season in comparison to the road. They're 4-3 straight up at home and 4-3 against the spread. As for the Saints, this is a team that's 1-5 straight up on the road this season and 1-5 against the spread. Again, I think this game favors the Cleveland Browns style of football. This is an outdoor stadium in Cleveland, potentially going to have some bad weather with cold winds, maybe a little bit of snow. And for the New Orleans Saints, this is actually going to be their first negative weather game of the season. As for the Browns, they've had 2 outdoor games in a row, playing in Cincinnati and then coming back home to play in Cleveland against the Ravens. So I think this Browns team is far more accustomed to this style of football. And, another thing that the Browns have is somewhat of a dual threat quarterback with Deshaun Watson. And I think in these situations, I think that helps, especially in colder weather games, when you can extend the play, get outside the pocket, and, try and pick up key first downs, or, get those little 5 yards that make second down a little more manageable, and then third down a little more manageable. And when it comes to rushing the football as well, that's what these cold weather outdoor games revolve around. And that's what the Cleveland Browns do. As we know, they're 5th throughout the NFL in rushing yards per game. They got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and like I said before, Deshaun Watson, who can extend the play a little bit with his legs. And the Saints are 22nd in terms of offensive rushing yards per game. So again, I think the Browns have the advantage there. In terms of rushing yards allowed per game, the Saints are 23rd throughout the NFL and the Browns are 24th. So neither that great at stopping the run, but I think the Browns defense is actually playing better at this point in time. In their last 4 games, they've held 3 of their opponents under 20 points. And when you look at the New Orleans Saints, in their last 6 games, only 2 games have gone over 20 points. And that was against the LA Rams and against the Atlanta Falcons. 2 teams, once again, that, not that great. You know what I mean? So all in all, I just think this is a matchup that very much favors the Cleveland Browns. I also think that with Deshaun Watson at this point in time, they want to try and get some chemistry going, even if they don't make the playoffs. They're very much on the outside looking in. They need a ton to happen to make the playoffs. But even if they don't get in, they want to get some momentum going with Deshaun Watson, with guys like Nick Chubb, even guys on the outside like Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think they just want to see some momentum going into next season. So I expect this Cleveland Browns to really come out, play well in this matchup. Again, I've said it a million times. I think it very much favors the Browns being outdoor, being a run-first style team, getting some play action attack going, Deshaun Watson on that edge. So because of that, I'm backing the Browns here at the -2.5 spread.
Moneyline Matt, leaderboard fixture, 3-day, 7-day, 30-day over at Sportsmemo says Cleveland Browns all the way. Another great capper. Take advantage of these wonderful customer appreciation discounts over at Sportsmemo. After the show, go follow Matt, guys. He's a winner. You will be too. Speaking of winners, my good friend Jeff Michaels, guys, the last few weeks, he's doing more Sportsmemo Wager Talk TV work than an up-and-coming adult film star. Because when you're good at what you do, you're in demand, and he is really good at what he does. He is all over multiple sport leaderboards. I share a lot of panels with Jeff, and we have a lot of laughs, but bottom line is He's kicking butt and taking names. Don't believe me? Go check out his name over on the leaderboards at Sportsmemo after the show. He's going to tell you what he's been doing. He's going to tell you what you can expect from him at Sportsmemo. He's got a free best bet. Jeff Michaels, it's all you, buddy.
Thanks, Joe. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing. Apparently, I'm going to be calling Gardner Minshew to figure out how to get that stash working. But no, guys, firsthand, I'll tell you, I'm about 25 minutes from Brown Stadium, minus 30 degree wind chill today and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So should be an exciting one outdoors tomorrow. But we've been red hot in the NFL, guys. 16-1 run on teaser plays. We've won 9 straight, and we're 13-4 and 1 in the last 18 NFL plays. So number 2 capper in the NFL in the month of December, and I have another 5% teaser that'll be going this weekend too. So that will be going tomorrow, will be loaded shortly after this show, but package is up and available for sale. But for my best bet today, guys, I got nervous for a second that Matt was going to take his homer Detroit team, and he took my homer team. But I like this Lions team this weekend too. Something I said earlier about Derek Carr not being able to take advantage of those defenses that they should. Detroit, on the other hand, has been doing exactly that. They're 6-0 against the spread against teams that are allowing 61% or better in terms of completion. They're winning those games by over a touchdown. And if you go back, they're 13-1 in that situation since Dan Campbell took over at coach. Carolina on the other side, 4-13 against the spread against teams that are completing 64% of their passes or better in the last 2 seasons, and they're losing those games by over a touchdown. So on the both sides of the same coin, we're looking at 2 reasons right there, just basically solely based off of the way that Detroit has been able to pass the ball. But, a little bit of a surprise, I guess, how impressive they've done this season. What isn't surprising is their ability to continue to cover the spread. I mean, going back to the beginning of last year, 21-10 in their last 31 games covering the spread. That's 15-6 ATS against conference opponents. And they're a perfect 7-0 in the second half of this season. So you also have a Carolina team. One thing that stood out to me, 1-11 against the spread in the last 2 years after a game that went over the total. So they're following up those high-scoring affairs by putting up 15 points in the next game. So haven't been able to follow that up with another opportunity. And Sam Darnold, 2-1 straight up and against the spread as Carolina's quarterback this year, but he's only putting up 23 points in those games. That's still nearly 4 points behind what Detroit's putting up on average this season. Not enough to cover the spread. Not enough to keep up with the offense of this Detroit team. And Carolina's offense doesn't concern me to the point that Detroit's defense is really in question. So I like the Lions this weekend, minus the points.
Jeff Michael says the Lions to roar is the way to go. Wow, those statistics he gave you on his wins and losses on the teasers and the NFL overall, off the charts. Follow Jeff. Throw him in your cart, and I'll tell you what, you'll be making money through the new year for sure. My friends, as I go into my best bet, I have a question for you. Do you need to find a way to pay for all those Christmas presents you got under the tree and you bought for everybody in your family? Well, I have just a game for you to do it this Saturday in the Hawaii Bowl between Middle Tennessee State, San Diego State. As a matter of fact, after this big winner, you can afford to go out and buy yourself something special to put under the tree, guys. As one of the most acclaimed bowl cappers and sports bettors in the history of this business, I'm very selective when posting bowl plays. I have the winner of the Monday Quick Lane Bowl and the New Mexico State Bowling Green matchup as well. You get them now to ensure yourself big winners, guys. I really feel strongly about both of these bowl plays. I also know that this is a tough time of year. You got to pay for Christmas. You got to pay your credit cards in a few weeks. Heck, you got taxes right after the new year as well. I didn't gouge you $10 a piece right now over at Sportsmemo. And in the next few hours, I'm going to tell you right now, it looks like I'll have 5 big NFL plays for you posted over at Sportsmemo. You're going to have a 5%, maybe even a 10% for yourself. I promise you that. 18-3, 2022 in 10% releases. All right, let's get into my free winner today. And it is a winner, guys. Sports fans, I'm going to keep this analysis brief. Both the Seahawks and the Kansas City Chiefs are in their own driver's seats. All right. Kansas City remains alive in the race for the AFC's number 1 seed. Seattle at 7-7, just behind Washington, coming in here tied with Detroit. The Chiefs enter this matchup winning their last 2 games, as both of those outings against the Broncos and the Texans went where? Over the total. The Seahawks coming here dropping 4 of their last 5 straight up. However, 3 of their last 4 contests have gone where? Over the total as well. Kansas City owns the NFL's top-ranked scoring offense. They average 29.6 points per game. Things don't look too good for a Seattle D that's ranked 29th in points allowed. I mean, they get plowed for what? 25.4 points per game. Patrick Mahomes leads the top aerial assault in the league, while Seattle's pass defense, they're ranked 17th. They've gotten burned quite a bit in the air, guys. On the flip side, the Seahawks, although are going to be without wide receiver Tyler Lockett, is still deep at the wideout position. They possess the 9th-ranked passing attack in football. KC, we know, they give up a lot of yards in the air as well once again this season, ranked 19th against the pass. You know, the Seahawks very quietly have averaged over 25.4 points per game this season. Very quietly, guys. This does not bode well either for a Chiefs defense that's really sprung a leak lately. You know, they're giving up 23 points per game on the season, but just over their last 3 outings, they got steamrolled, guys. 27, 28, and 24 points. To be quite honest, I really do feel this is going to be a shootout. I think you're going to see scoring from their first possession straight on through the final minutes of the game. The last 5 matchups resulted in 5 consecutive overs going back over the years, the most recent being 2018. So it really doesn't have a bearing, but the trend is there for the over, guys. Wanted to make you aware of it. The over, 5-1 the Seahawks' last 6 games played on the road. 5-1 the Chiefs' last 6 games played in the month of December. As I mentioned earlier, very briefly, just take the over. Take your bookmaker's money. That's all I got to say about that. Sports fans, let me bring this panel back on. I want to get some closing thoughts and comments. I know we've covered a lot of ground, 3 roundtable games of best bet, but it is the final show for Sportsmemo TV before we head into the holiday weekend. I want to give everybody a little time to say what's on their mind. Talk to you guys. Closing comments, Dan Kaiser.
Oh, you. Dan.
My dog was barking. So I just want to wish everybody happy holidays going forward, and best of luck with your bets, and just be safe out there, especially if you're in the Midwest or on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Now you're on mute, Joe.
See that stuff? See, it's contagious. It's contagious. This isn't the first time Dan gave me something because he's contagious. But by the way, guys, all 4 of the panelists here have dogs. We're all dog lovers. And all the time, all of our dogs bark or get into the mix. So no problem there. My good buddy, Dan Kaiser, always the epitome of class. Jeff Michaels, closing thoughts and comments for our viewers, please.
Yeah, guys, just a happy holidays to everybody out there. Like Dan said, be safe, whether it be, as Joe's mentioned a time or two during the holiday season, whether it be the drinking and not driving this weekend, or it be the fact of the weather. Stay safe, enjoy the weekend, and don't forget, check over on Sportsmemo today and tomorrow. We all, I'm sure, more than likely have NFL stuff going to win you back some of that money that you spent on those Christmas presents too. So
thank you, Jeff Michaels. Thank you very much. Moneyline Matt, closing thoughts and comments, please.
Yeah, guys, kind of the same story here. Just got to say happy holidays to everyone. Be safe. Here in Michigan, it is cold as shit right now. It is windy. It is snowy. The roads aren't too good. So, I mean, it's a good day to stay in, watch some NBA tomorrow, hang out with the family, watch some NFL the entire day. And guys like Joe, Dan, Jeff, myself, we all have picks and plays going on. If you are someone who doesn't want to pay for a pick or play, anything like that, that's why you tune into these shows. That's why you go check us out on Twitter. Myself, Joe, Dan, Jeff, all give out free plays all over the place. And more people at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. So again, guys, you don't always have to go and buy that stuff. If you want to get a feel for us first, check out the shows. Check out what's going on Twitter, stuff like that. We greatly appreciate all of you tuning into our shows, stopping by, hanging out with us. And we hope everyone has a great holiday. And hopefully we also win some money this weekend and get some more good stuff. Get some money back for those Christmas presents, like Jeff said.
Gotta love Moneyline Matt. And by the way, to our producer, Chris, backstage, and to the powers that be at Sports Memo TV, I just want you to know, I didn't use the curse word today. Matt said the word shit. I didn't say the word shit. He said shit. I didn't say shit. I wanted it on the record that I didn't curse. I didn't say the word shit today. Guys, I had to. I couldn't help myself. We always have a good time, but you get great content here from the best cappers in the world. On a serious note, I want to say something. At Joe D'Amico Wins is my Twitter handle. This is the time of year we have parties with our friends, our families at the local bar, office parties. Please, I implore you, I beg of you, Don't get into the car if you had a few too many. I don't care where you live. If you live in Indiana, and if you're living in Indiana and you were drinking in Iowa, you hit me up on Twitter at Joe D'Amico Wins. I will Uber you home. I give you my word. No reprisals, no repercussions, no, like I can't believe you or not. Listen, I just want you home safe, and I don't want anybody to be hurt, especially if we can avoid it. Having said that, guys, it's that time. Don't forget to tune into all of Sportsmemo TV's amazing content. Hit that subscribe button because you will get an alert and a reminder. You don't want to miss any of our stuff, guys. Thank you for tuning in, folks. Remember, increase your chances of making a profit. Follow the best collection of cappers anywhere on the planet here at Sports Memo, because we don't go gambling, we go winning. On behalf of Sports Memo, Jeff, Dan, Matt, and me, Joe D'Amico, everyone out there, Merry Christmas, good luck, and have a winning day.